Hello, storytellers. Welcome back to Bound by Words. I have missed you all so dearly. I'm very excited to get some writing sprints done today, some productivity sprints. I am starting a new outline, so that's really exciting. I'm really excited to take you guys along that journey with me. I have some new outlining software that I'm going to talk about a little bit later. But as always, I like to start most of my productivity and writing sprints with a warm-up sprint, just 15 minutes where we can, get our projects out, get settled on what we're working on. If you have any like organizational stuff that you have to do to get set up to write for the day. So I'm going to jump into that. And while we're doing that sprint, feel free to share in the chat what you're working on today. If you have any like specific goals in mind, if you're in the middle of a project. I have taken a little bit of a hiatus from writing lately, not necessarily something I wanted to do, but it was something that was better for me just with my work schedule. So I am absolutely floored to get back into it. I just have a lot of things that I want to get done. And I feel like I wanted to be a little bit more set up before sprinting today, but I kind of also like the idea of just being able to start with you guys. Oh, I had everything so perfectly set up, and look what this little monster did. Okay, go away. Let's skip this ad. We don't want to watch this ad. Okay. He will probably be trying to help us out for most of today. So hopefully that doesn't get to be too disruptive, but I'm going to jump into the warm-up sprint. Again, let me know in the chat if you just popped in what you're working on today, if you have any like particular goals or anything that you want to get done. I'm just going to be opening up all of my documents and stuff. I made tea already in record time, so like I'm good on that end. Probably put some music on in the background for during the sprints. I also have some music linked in the description below. I always like to link a couple. They're usually YouTube videos of like lo-fi music that I really vibe with. I think both of them today are Little Soul, which is like one of my favorite channels for that. But we do have a couple people here already, which is really awesome. Hello, Les. Hello, Green Rolled. I hope you guys are ready to be productive because I like to make sure the majority of my sprints are, or the majority of my live streams are like sprinting because I personally need that in my life. But yeah, without further ado, we're going to do this warm-up sprint. Let me know in the chat if you're working on anything. I'll see you in 15 minutes. All right, that is the end of our warm-up sprint. So I hope you guys are ready for a good productive day. I pulled my files up. I had to wrestle Flurry off of my computer a little bit again. I hope that that's not going to be a thing, but it probably will. So I'm using this Plottr software to get started with this outline, and I'm really kind of excited to dive into it. I did a little bit of a walkthrough, breakdown explanation of Plottr a couple of months ago whenever I was supposed to get content creation going again. Sorry that it took so long, guys. But I'm really looking forward to using some different outlining styles in Plottr, even if I'm writing one whole outline for a novel and then, using that comparatively, look at another outlining style and see if there's anything that I missed and stuff like that. There's just a lot of different options inside this little software, and I believe it's a one-time purchase thing. I'm pretty sure. But there's almost style planning things that I have never really seen or heard of or used before. And for that reason, I wanted to pick something kind of new. I think I can share my screen here for you guys so you can see what I'm talking about. But I chose this new planning method called Take Off Your Pants, which is not the most original, but it is Libby Hawker's method. I hope that is a little bit clear. So this is the book, and it is a small book, and immediately after I chose to use this as my planning method, I went and I bought the book, and then I had this moment where I realized that I really wanted to use Plottr the way that it was intended, where you don't have to get any extra information. So as you can see, if you hit this outline section here, it tells you each beat, what it's called. You can color code them. That's what these little blue dots are over here. And then you actually click into this description of what this beat is supposed to be. And you see it says add your details above the line, and you can put your outline there, and you can take this information out if you want, or you can leave it in there. So it really is a pretty standalone kind of software, which is one of the reasons that I was excited to give it a try, because I'm not the biggest planner. If you're familiar with the channel, it's one of those things where I think I write my best and I have the most fun writing if I am just pantsing everything. But I think in a business minded sense, or if you're writing for a writing challenge and you want to be a little bit quicker, or if you want to maybe cut some time off editing, that there's a lot of, I just think, value in plotting in general. So I picked that outlining structure, and then I immediately went and bought the book. And then I took a step back and I was like, no, I want to use this Plottr software to do this whole outline. And then afterwards, I'm going to read the book and then go back to the outline and see if there's anything I missed, if there's anything that was explained better in the book that will help me sort of flesh out some thoughts or some ideas, especially because there are 14 beats on this outline in Plottr, and there's more than 14 chapters in this book. And the table of contents has these sections where it's plot something. There's more than 14 of those. So I don't really know how the book is going to break things down and explain them, having as many subsections. I'm pretty sure the first chapter that talks about plot, and I think this is the first chapter that talks about actually doing the outline, it seems like it might be the pants come off is page 50, or the first one that says plot that says begin to spin is 81. So there's going to be 50 to 81 pages of just explanation and breakdown of storytelling. And if we haven't met yet, by the way, I should have done this at the beginning. My name is Madie. I am a full-time editor and a fantasy writer, and I actually have a master's level certificate in manuscript editing. So I really love just consuming different varieties of this kind of content, because I feel like hearing different people explain similar ideas really gives you a fresh perspective on it. It's almost like stories are just new perspectives of ideas and magic and world building, and we always look for ways to spin them and make them unique and stuff like that. In the same vein, I think that different plotting methods do that pretty well. So I'll probably break it into sections. I'll plan out the first few beats, and then I'll probably read a significant amount of the book and see what I want to edit, and then go back and forth and sort of do that. So that's what I'm working on today. I am planning on vlogging the process and sharing it with you guys, but this, as you see, my beat 1 is empty. This is going to be my first dive into this new story, and I had an old idea that I really loved for a story that I sort of let dwindle out whenever I stopped creating content just a few months ago. But the name that I chose for that story, and I sort of just left it at the beginning of this document, was Fortune Favors the Dead. And I still think that's a pretty Awesome name. So I'm gonna leave that there for now. While I do some experimenting and planning, but it's probably gonna be something different in the future. I do like the idea of like picking a final word count goal. I don't necessarily know what I want that to be. It's probably going to be like between 50 and 80,000. I think 80,000 is always like a good number to go by, especially because I'm a little bit of an overwriter. So the Plottr planning, especially for this take off your pants one, it actually says like this beat one is supposed to make up 25% of the story. So as I add things to the outline, I think it would be really cool to like put like I'm supposed to get to this word count here. That way I'm making sure I'm balancing out my timeline. But yeah, let me know in the comments if like you guys have anything particular, any goals that you're working on today, projects and stuff like that. I don't really have a set goal except for I just want to spend time doing this and I miss writing a lot. So I'll probably start to plan like, you know, beat one and beat two. And then in the process of doing that, I'll make myself like a brief goal of maybe what I want to get done today or maybe what I want to get done between now and next week's stream because I will be live streaming sprints on Mondays for the time being from 1 to 3. So at least until the end of July. And then we'll see if there's, you know, a better time for you guys to get together. Les says, I've been working on rereading and editing my old project after leaving it be for a year. That's always like an exciting and sort of nerve-wracking experience. How do you feel about it after a year? Does it still have the same like vibes that you thought it had whenever you started writing it? I'm a little bit bad about letting things sit sometimes. Sometimes it's like I just want it to sit for a few weeks and I'm ready to move on. And then sometimes I sort of just set it down and totally forget about it. So I don't really have like a good structured system like that. I don't know if it was an intentional year that you let it sit down or what, but yeah, Greenworld said to finish off my work in progress so I can start Camp NaNoWriMo with a new one. Is that today's goal? Is that like your short term, like what's happening in the future goal? I kind of like the idea of, especially since we're halfway through June now, if I can get my outline done by the end of June, and I feel like that should be an easy goal, but life has really just been like attacking me from all sides right now. But if I can get my outline done, I would also like to start Camp NaNoWriMo with a new one. So that'll be exciting to do together. But yeah, I don't know if you guys have a preference for sprint times today. I do have a 25-minute, a 30-minute, and a 20-minute timer queued up. I was just going to start with 25 minutes, unless you guys had a preference for longer or shorter. I can't really tell what kind of sprint mood I'm in today yet, to be entirely honest. Les says, I still love it. I'm in a good place being able to incorporate beta reader, aka friends feedback. I think that is super important, that like beta reader stage. And I don't know if you ever use the term like alpha reader, but a lot of people use that for like the friend beta reading stage. But I had some pieces recently that I gave to people to read that I don't even think that I'm ready to move on to the next step of editing. I was just excited to get somebody else's feedback on it. So I hope that the feedback that you got was very helpful, hopefully positive, you know, constructive criticism wise. 25 sounds good. I hear no complaints. So I want to jump into a 25-minute sprint because, like I said, I want to keep most of our time today being productive, even though I'm really excited to catch up with you guys. Hopefully Flurry won't launch himself onto the computer and make us watch extra ads this time. He would pick now to give himself a bath, but that's okay. Let's see. I think this one is really cute, so this is what I want to go with today. And of course there would be an ad. Oh yeah, I don't know if anyone caught it in the middle of the sprint. There was just like an ad, so it wasn't 15 minutes. It was 15 minutes plus 1 or 2 ads. I don't remember when the last time like they started doing that was. But if you just jumped in, I see people are jumping in and out. Let me know what you're working on in the chat. If you want to share, we're going to do a 25-minute productivity sprint. I'm going to jump in and start doing beat one. And maybe by the time I get done with beat one, I might just flip through the book and see where I should stop and read and how much I should read, you know, like making a game plan. Like, should I do beat one and then read a little bit and then do beat two and read a little bit? Or should I do like beats 1 through 5 and like read a large chunk? So that's probably the game plan that I'm going to make. Hello, Sophia. Welcome in. Let us know if you're working on anything particular. We're getting ready to start our first official productivity writing sprint of the day. We did have a little warm up one earlier, but now it's time to get down to business and to get some things going. I will see you guys in 25 minutes. All right, that was the end of our first long sprint. Let me know what you got done, how you're feeling about it, if your goals for the day have changed, stuff like that. I've been poking around in Plottr, and I'm kind of disappointed I didn't do this earlier because I keep finding things that I absolutely love in general. And, I'm not sponsored by them for any means or reason or whatever. I'm definitely not trying to sell it. But the more I poke around this little thing, the more fun it is to start to plan and plot. I don't know that I'll be sharing the screen once I get a lot of plot points and stuff in, just because I'm going to be changing and fleshing things out. You know how it is. I don't mind planning in front of people, but at the same time, just overall, I probably won't want to share things until I'm a little bit more certain. But I did want to throw this up on the screen because I was just having a blast with so this outline section is sort of what I showed you earlier. I was adding a separate timeline because I know I want this story to be dual point of view. So I thought, since I'm doing this beat sheet method, this what's it called? Take off your pants. I was going to do one plot line for each character. That way, separately, they make a whole seamless story, and then I can sort of stagger them. I can do the opening scene of one, the opening scene of two, back and forth with the characters like that. Don't know if that's going to be a for real set thing, but it was my idea for now. So when I added the separate plot line, it added another colored dot over here, and this is going to be lagging, I think, because I do have a lot going on in my computer. But basically, there's this timeline view that has these little note cards. And up here, they all said beat 1, beat 2, beat 3. I'm going to change the top part to whatever scene we're on. So opening scene for POV 1 and POV 2, which I just left it like that because I'm still brainstorming the names and stuff. And then you can actually click in here to get that text box where you add things. So I'm still messing around with how I really want to do some layout stuff. Because I think it would be cool if I had this is the main plot line for 1 and 2 here. And then under it, I was thinking it would be cool if I added my subplots. I can just have an empty timeline, and maybe I have one subplot that starts around here and goes to here and then ends. And I can sort of stagger them like that just to keep a better organization of things. And whenever I hit the plus button for that timeline, thinking maybe that's how that'll work, I hit this use template button out of excitement, and I found out that I can just add a whole other plotting method in its own timeline within the story, even though I selected my overall plotting method was going to be to take off your pants. So I could do the hero journey, or where was it? The villain's journey. I thought would be cool, where it'll put these beats on there with the explanations of how to write and flesh out a story with these beats on a new timeline, and it'll color code it, and you can change the colors and stuff. I got to pick these colors down here. So for this one, I just hit duplicate to make the second one, since I wanted them to be the same. But I'm starting to think, how cool would it be to do one point of view with one sort of planning method and the second point of view with another planning method. That way they're a little bit more different. And yeah, there's a science to storytelling, so they're going to be similar types of arcs, but you know what I mean? I wanted to have a really well-balanced story, so I was thinking I wanted to meet each character beat for beat, but in reality, I might do this 14-beat story method for character 1, and then character 2 might end up being something an 8 or 10-beat method, which will have the same amount of writing or words, but will be broken up in a little bit of a different way. I'm just really excited about that. But most of what I started doing, other than just messing with that timeline, was creating notes. So when you go over to the notes tab, all of your notes are either categorized as main or just uncategorized. And I don't think I'm going to be using this main one very much. But I came in here and I created some subcategories for technical brainstorming and world building. And then I have these notes that I created. This is just going to be a place where I can dump name ideas. This was my idea of splitting the point of view, the story point of view. And I threw this one in here just as a little bit of an example, but you really just hit plus note, and then it gives you these little text box things that it has all the formatting and stuff, so you can do a little bit of organization, you can change the name, and then you can add if there are particular books in the series that this is related to, different characters, places, or whatever that this is related to. So I think for the people who are really type A in organizing, that this could be really cool. And as somebody who likes office stuff, I think this is really cool, even though I'm not the biggest plotter. But that's sort of what I was working on, was just creating both timelines separately for each point of view. And then I went in and I created some notes and some categories for notes, because I know the beginning of this process is going to be a lot of brainstorming. I don't really have something like a premise really set up. I had this meme and I was going to share it on my Instagram story. If you don't follow me there, I highly recommend it. I'm Bound by Words, or Living Bound by Words, on all of my platforms, but they're all also linked on my YouTube channel and down below as well. But it was basically like when you get a new book idea and you don't really have the premise or the character names or the plot yet, it's just purely vibes, and you know what you want like readers to feel, or you might have like a couple ideas of scenes. Like, I'm still in that early stages of like what I'm trying to like work out with the story. So I know that this beginning part of planning is going to be a lot of notes. So I don't know that today I'm going to have like those first couple plot points, like I'm definitely going to have some notes there. Definitely going to have some notes here. Hopefully maybe I can have some character names. I am pretty good. Like, I'm pretty picky about names, but I'm pretty good at creating either placeholder names or, revisiting like name. Like, I'll put a filler name in, like, what was that one? I think it did pop up. Supposed to be a secret because I thought it was really cool, but Semron is like a name that I've been really into lately for like a male character. But like, I can use that name as a filler, and I'm totally okay going back later and changing it. So it's cool to be able to say like, hey, like I want to add a character, and then you just hit this little character button, and you can do descriptions and pictures and stuff. Like, you can put thumbnails in your notes, and I haven't done that yet, so I don't really know how it looks. But I'm just very excited about it. I see a couple more people jumped in. Welcome, welcome. I am geeking out over this Plottr software that I'm really just like jumping into for the first time, and I'm doing some plotting with like a new method, and you've probably seen me spaz about some of those things already if you're just jumping in here. I'm going to take this Plottr thing off the screen now, though, so I can see you guys and what you're working on. Sophia made tea, which I think is awesome. What kind of tea is very important to me. I am an avid tea drinker. I have milk tea at the moment, which is one of my favorite things that I would drink every day when I was in Japan. So I just like to have my comfort milk tea. Earl Grey is my favorite, though. Les is outlining an additional chapter to go at the very beginning, because I think I need to refine how I approach the inciting incident. That is great, like very specific and beneficial like feedback to have, honestly. Like, so I'm really excited for you for that. I feel like the beginnings of books and first chapters in books are often reworked a lot, and I feel like if they're not, you can tell. So kudos to you for being able to see that clearly. Lurking and working. Welcome in, Diane. And Misha, welcome to my little corner of the internet. I hope that you have fun writing and working. I'm going to be streaming on Mondays again, so I hope to see you again. I'm just getting back into content creation after a couple month-long hiatus, and I have missed writing and you guys so much. I actually just recently found you on Insta after getting back on after being off social media for a long time. Well, I'm glad you found me. Thank you and welcome. Yeah, I got a second job recently, and it was more like a for fun job. So like my whole life is really like reading and language and writing, and like I said, I'm a full-time editor, and that's where I have like my certifications for, and I have like a day job with like a nonfiction website, and I have Bound by Words is actually a little editorial service, so if anybody needs edits or help with books, that actually is a service that I provide. And that was really my whole life for a long time. But I also have this like fitness passion that was like an itch I couldn't scratch, where I wasn't really spending enough time doing stuff just for my health, because I enjoy it. So I picked up a job at the MMA gym that I've been working out at for about a year and a half. And then with all of the resettling of that and just some family tragedy that I had, I took a couple months off. And it has been so sad and lonely without the writing and the writing community. So I feel like a lot of people do that. They just like take a couple months off and come back. But I'm always really excited whenever that happens, or like whenever I can like recognize like people's faces and names. Like, I feel like a lot of the people here are actually newer. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I used to have the same like 10 people at every stream, and I'm really excited to meet some new people and hear about some new projects. Not that I don't love my regular amazing friends. Changed account since I'm doing art-related work, but also drinking tea, vanilla chai with honey. That sounds really good. Some chais I think are really amazing. Other chais might be a little bit too spicy for me, but I know that I'm like weird for that. I'm basically wrapping up my day, an hour left before lights off. In the meantime, I'm practicing German. What a fun and aggressive language. I had a friend in high school who studied German, and anytime she like practiced, it was just really impressive. And when I lived in Japan, because that's my second language that I studied, the woman who sat at the desk next to me, she was German. Her name was Pina, and she was so sweet. I loved listening to her speak German, though, so kudos to that. Hibiscus and ginger tea. That sounds amazing. I love ginger everything, honestly. Same here. I also took a long hiatus. I'm trying to figure out when I'll be running my own streams again. Well, I definitely want you to ping me whenever you do that. I'm sometimes bad at like the notifications and checking notifications. So if you decide when you're running streams, feel free to message me on Instagram because I want to be there. Flurry's sitting next to me screaming for attention. So I'm sorry if you can hear him. Oh, nice. I like drinking hibiscus and mint tea. Mint tea's good. I don't know why, like Earl Grey tea, something about he's coming over. Something about the smell of it. I think it's the bergamot just in general is like one of my favorite smells, therapeutic flavor things. So I'm like severely addicted to Earl Grey tea and London fogs. This is Flurry. If anyone's new and hasn't met him, I have very many cats, but this one in particular really loves to be on camera. I have a sneaking suspicion that he thinks I'm crazy because I'm in the little office area talking to nobody. So he comes in here to make me feel less crazy and keep me company. But in reality, you'll see him in most of my videos just knocking things over. But yeah, I want to get another sprint started. Let me know if you're picking up a new project, if you moved on to something, if you have a new goal, all that jazz. All good. Just send me your links and I'll follow you on Insta. I can do that. If you're on, you know what? I'm going to put them in the description. They should be in the description, but to be entirely honest, I wrote the description kind of late last night, so they might not be. But my website should be down there, and they're also on like my channel page. But I need to follow you back anyway. So let me know if the Misha Garrick is your handle as well, or if you have a different handle. I'll just go follow you, and then you can get the notification from there. He is pretty cute, even though I think I have a solid layer of his hair on me. He's like, I think 60 or 70% Mancoon though. So he's pretty hefty, even though he's not even fat yet. I don't know what I'm going to do if they get fat when they get older. I love Earl Grey tea, making me want some now. Yeah, everyone needs tea. Everyone needs tea. It's part of the thing. I love the smell of bergamot, but I can't drink it. It's one of my favorite scents and perfumes. I feel the same way about jasmine. Growing up, I had a friend who loved jasmine just like as a smell and a flavor, and I got jasmine tea, and it was like the grossest. I mean, it was bubble tea, but still, it was like the grossest tea flavor ever, even though it was one of my favorite like candle scents. So I know what you mean. Bergamot in general, I think I was introduced to it first by tea and then second by scent, so I don't know if that really helps with some of the perfuminess of it. And sweet, I will try to look you up at the beginning of this next sprint. I do have sometimes short-term memory issues, so the quicker I do it, the more certain that it'll happen. But yeah, so if you just jumped in, let me know if you have a preference for sprint time, length, whatever, just for the day in general. I'm probably going to do 30 minutes next, just so we can get some quality writing in. This was supposed to go from 1 to 3, but I feel like if I got like another 2 sprints in, that would be pretty cool because we've done 1. So maybe like a 30-minute, a 20-minute if you guys are feeling that. And yeah, jasmine is an amazing smell. I used to get these like big glass candles of just jasmine. It was like nothing else. It wasn't like a mix or anything. It was just jasmine candles, and I absolutely love that. And all this talk about good smells and tastes is making me realize that I actually don't have like a candle or oil burning, and I normally always do. So at the beginning of the next sprint, I might have to get a little candle burning. I have this one in the other room that's yuzu ginger that is pretty motivating. So I think it could help with some, whatchamacallit, productivity today. I'm going to check this video. I'm going to pre-watch this ad for you guys to save you from it. Since I now know that in my last couple months of not streaming, we now put ads in the middle of these timer videos, which kind of stinks. I'm planning on making my own timer videos soon, and they're not going to be as like fancy or nice as some of these other ones, but they probably won't have ads in the middle of them, so that'll be kind of cool. Let's see. There we go. Okay, this one's called Train Journey. I just really like some of the pictures on this one. It's looking a little blurry on my screen. I hope it's not looking blurry on your screen. Probably is. Okay, good. That looks a little bit better. So let's do 30 minutes of productivity and sprinting. If you just popped in, welcome. Let me know what you're working on. You'll probably get to hear me geek out about this Plottr software because even though I poked around, this is my first time really using it for a project, and I just get really excited about office things pretty easily. So I hope you don't mind. If you have any questions about book planning, plotting, or whatever, that's the stuff that I love to geek out about. So don't be shy. And I will see you guys after 30 solid minutes of productivity, happy writing. All right, that is the end of our second sprint. I'm a little discombobulated because I was in the middle of something. Okay, let me know what you got done, how you're feeling about your goals and stuff. I was on a name hunt, which I know can be like the biggest, I want to say waste of time, but it's not really a waste of time. Like I told you, I was particular about names. I found a list and I was supposed to just grab a couple like girls' names that I liked or that I thought I could use. And I found this list of like absolute bangers. I'm not even kidding. It was like 99 unique girls' names. And I think I got, let me pull up my Plottr. I got like a decent number of girls' names. And then I thought I wanted to go through like the same sites list of boys' names and just pull out all the ones I thought were interesting. And I was going to stop there, just a couple from each, and that was going to be my starting point. But let's see, girls' names that were unique and that I really liked. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, which is a lot of girls' names. I don't need that many. But there were several that I was like, oh, that would be a good like main character's name, or that would be like a good like secondary character group name or whatever. So I wanted to go through the males list, and that was going to be like my goal for that little sprint was to finish going through the girls list and then goes through the male names list. And the male names list like just dropped the ball. Like almost every name was either like common or I've seen in books before, or just it didn't have anything that was really unique when it came to pronunciation or spelling. And because I'm working on a fantasy piece, I want to have names that are easy to pronounce if you read them, but are unique and original, just like by themselves. So I found a new article to go through. This one's like a little bit better. It's called Exotic Male Names, and not a lot of them are exotic, to be honest, but there are some that are interesting, that are easy to read, and that are spelled pretty simply, which are like what I'm looking for. So I'm at about 7 on the list of 100 for the male's names. So that's sort of where I stopped and where I'm going to pick up for the next one. I did just a little bit more organization when it came to notes, but I wanted to pick an original like male protagonist and female protagonist name to start with, even if it does change, just so I have that set aside and ready for writing. Yeah, so that's what I worked on. I feel like I did something else before that and I couldn't. Oh, this outline, I got rid of that thing that I like accidentally added whenever I was talking to you guys, and I changed like the rest of the beat things, like beat 6 and 7, to like what the name of the beat is. And then I went into the first beat section and I took a couple of notes there too. So it was a kind of sporadic 30 minutes, but I'm feeling pretty productive about it. I also did flip through this book just a little bit, looked at the table of contents, flipped through, whatchamacallit, looked at the chapter titles. So it's on page 50 that says the pants come off, beginning your outline. So while I do want to spend the majority of my energy actually like brainstorming and doing some world building and some like magic fleshing out and working in Plottr, I do have some downtime, probably tomorrow at work, that it would be easier to do a little bit of reading here and there instead of some plotting, because the MMA gym that I work at, I like work at the front desk, and while classes are going on, I have a little bit of leeway to just like hang out and get some reading done. So I'll bring that, or maybe I'll do that as like my before bed reading, because I'm trying to do that a little bit more often. And yeah, so if you're new or you jumped in or you jumped out, my goal with this planning and plotting using the software is like you should be able to use the software by itself without anything else. So that's what I want to do. But as I go through and I flush things out in the software, I want to go back and read the book that correlates with the plotting method that I chose in the software, which is Take Your Pants Off. And it has all of the beats for this Take Your Pants Off by Libby Hawker. It has all of that in Plottr. So you don't need the book, but it was an excuse to buy a book. And I am growing my library. I know a lot of you are probably familiar with that trend. Like you need 1,000 books to be considered a library. And I think I'm only a little bit more than halfway there. So an excuse to buy a book that was a few dollars and super helpful, I was going to do it. So I'm going to be going back and forth between plotting and reading the book, just to see like where I am. And if reading the book helps me like do any of the plotting, or if Plottr by itself is like pretty standalone. So Misha, I followed you on YouTube, and then I followed you on Instagram. If any of you other writers are popping in and out of here that have content like platforms for me to follow, please let me know, because I'm definitely interested in supporting writers and other creators. But I followed you with my personal account first, and then my like writing professional account second. So I hope you don't mind. I didn't like go and unfollow you on my personal account, because I also follow like writers and writing stuff there. But I figured I'd give you the heads up because that usually doesn't happen. So you probably got a couple weird notifications. When I turn off my lights tonight, I will have crossed 22 things off of my to-do list, and that's pretty dang good, and I would definitely agree. Having a to-do list that's more than 22 things like long is super exciting and ambitious, so I'm happy that you were able to cross large chunks off of that. Thinking about chapter names to see if I can come up with good enough ones to make it worthwhile as opposed to just numbers. I love that. Honestly, love that. I definitely want to have chapter names in my book, and I just really like when I'm reading a book and it has chapter names. So I'm excited to see what kind of names you can come up with that are worthwhile. Another random question for anybody who's watching: if you do like a plotting method, like this "Take Your Pants Off" has like 14 beats. Do you have any like science behind when you want chapters to begin or end? I feel like there's a lot of advice that goes around like chapter starts and ends and stuff. I don't really know that I like the idea of like each scene being a chapter because the breaks are just a little bit too clean. So how did you separate your chapters, and does that sort of affect how you name them at all? It's a fun topic, I think. I finished my German practice. Good, awesome. Another thing off of the to-do list. I need to do some Japanese practice today, honestly. Oh, thanks for the follow. Okay, I'm glad you've seen it. And if anyone else is interested, I did check my Instagram is in the description below. So is my website if anyone needs edits or ever just wants to talk shop. Always welcome down there. But yeah, I'm a little scatterbrained now. I don't really know much of what to talk about because I'm really excited to get the next sprint started. And I don't know what that says about me as a host. I feel like normally it's like the other way around. That there's more chatting in between the sprints than sprinting. But I think I was just really into my name list. Let me know if you guys have any preferred methods to find names. This is terrible to admit, but I used to be a manager at Starbucks. I worked there for like 5 years, and anytime somebody gave me a name that I thought was really unique and pretty that I might be able to use in like a book or a story, I would write that down. And I haven't worked there in about a year or so, and I feel like it was a really invaluable resource as a writer to just have these like really unique and pretty names, but they were also things that like existed in the real world. So I don't want to spend too much time going through names just because I don't want to waste planning time doing that. But like I said, I just wanted to go through this one last article, and hopefully, like I did a girl one and I'm doing a boy one, hopefully this has enough boy names to give me a couple options or ideas, because by the end of the day, I want to have like my female's name picked, my male's name picked. I want to have a decent number of notes for like ideas of where to start, or like ideas to describe the premise even. And I did have some things that I jotted down about the magic system. So unfortunately, by the end of today, it's probably still going to look like a dumpster fire of garbage. But there's going to be some really valuable things in that like dumpster pile that I'll be able to pull out next time I visit the the planning worksheet. Baby name sites. Yeah, I think the one that I'm on. So the first one, or I think this may even be the same one. It's called Mom Loves Best. Is the site that I'm on. There is a feature in Scrivener, if anyone uses Scrivener, and I really love Scrivener for organization, even though I don't always write in it. There's a feature in Scrivener that actually will generate names, and I like to poke around in there sometimes too. Another plus of this Plottr organizational like planning software is that apparently when you're done, it'll export it straight into Scrivener, and I don't really know what that looks like yet, but I'm really excited to like get to the end of the process and export it into Scrivener and see what happens there. But they have a built-in little name generator that is sometimes pretty useful. Chapter divisions were difficult for me. The process of rearranging them made me change the way I plan to outline moving forward, honestly. I think that is really true. I feel like you said a couple things where my brain is like, that's how you know that it's going to be like a really good story. So I'm really excited to see your piece of it develops, because I can tell that you're like putting in some work and some thought behind it that I feel like not a lot of writers do. But this is like a tricky thing that I talk about with a lot of people. You find all these things that work or work well or work not so well during your first book. But the real question is, or not really your first book, but your current book. I don't know how many books you've written. The real question is are these methods of the ways that you're going to change the way you outline moving forward, do you think they're going to be applicable to another story, or do you think it's really unique to the story you're working on? Stuff like that. Because I'll have these ideas where I'm like, this will be a much better way to outline this, or this will be a much better way to ask for feedback or guide beta reader feedback, stuff like that. And then in general, I'm like looking at it and I'm like, is that actually going to be valid for any story outside of this one? Or maybe the next story I'll try to do that. And then I'll have the same like epiphany where it's like, oh, I planned this way, but it would have been more beneficial if I planned another way. But yeah, so I'm curious, do you think that these decisions you're making for planning to outline moving forward are going to be like good general like planning decisions, or do you think it's going to be something that shifts with each project? I also like Scrivener for planning structural edits after I've written my draft. I have no software loyalty. That's like the worst thing that you'll see on this platform. I will write in a Google Docs because I love that blank page. Like a lot of people talk about like blank pages being scary or like it being hard to start, but I love that. Love blank notebooks, love blank Word documents. I also like games like For the Words. So I jump in between writing software, but I use Scrivener to keep everything organized. So no matter where I'm writing, I'll copy and paste it into Scrivener. That way I don't have like just papers and pages just floating around 1,000 different places. But then I can also, write and do whatever I want whenever it comes to drafting. I'm very much a mood writer. So if I have the motivation and, like a blank Google Doc is what's going to get me in the mood to write, then I'm going to let myself do it. Oh yeah, I'm really excited to read the book. I'm not gassing you up either. It's just like good signs. Like as an editor, like when I hear people like taking good care of their stories, I'm like, this is so exciting because I love well-told stories. It's the reason that I'm in this industry. I mostly just write X or some other placeholder until the character tells me their name. I like that, like the idea behind that, but I think my brain needs the placeholder even to be a name. So I might pick a name and I might change it 10 times or I might end up hating it. But usually, at least for the main characters, I have to pick a placeholder name. But for some side characters or some maybe like people that don't matter as much, or I don't know if they'll matter as much, instead of doing X, I'll actually do like capital O's or a bunch of zeros because I think that stands out like nice and big. So it might just be like 3 or 4 like capital O's just as like a little like, hey, come fill me in later kind of like visual signal. Okay, it is actually 3 now, which is crazy. I do want to do another sprint now. Are we feeling like 20 minutes or 15 minutes? I'm feeling like 20. I feel like I said that earlier. I don't know if anyone had any thoughts or feelings about that. But I feel like one more 20-minute sprint and a little bit more chatting, and then I'll actually have to go back to my day job and work on that for a few hours. And if I can wrap around back here in the evening to planning, that would be pretty awesome. So if anyone knows any streams going on in the evening, let me know. I'd love to jump in on those. But if nobody complains, I will likely put this 20-minute timer on. I'm going to pre-check this for these stupid ads. I swear the last one had like so many. And they had those like 10-minute unskippable ads. They're like the worst thing to put in the middle of a timer. Okay, let's see. Gotta get going to an appointment. I'll definitely join the next one. Well, thank you so much for stopping by, Les. Have fun at your appointment. I hope everything is smooth. Happy writing and planning and editing. Time to head offline. It was really nice joining your sprint today. Thanks for hosting. Thanks for coming in. I don't know where you're located, but I'm pretty sure that it's the end of the day for you. So have a great night. Rest up, and I look forward to seeing you guys next time. If you're still sticking around, I will do just like a 20-minute wrap-up sprint. And you know what? If I'm the only one here writing, I am totally okay with that. But if not, jump in the chat and let me know what you're working on. All right, I'm going to start. Oh, I guess I have to share the timer first before I start it. Let's see. There we go. I'm going to start this timer now. See you in 20 minutes. Happy writing. All right, that was the end of the last sprint. I see we still have a couple people watching. Thanks for sticking around while we were wrapping things up. Don't forget to like the video if you haven't already, and subscribe if you would like notifications for more writing sprints. For now, I'm planning on doing them on Mondays from 1 to about 3, 3:30, whenever we feel like wrapping up. But let me know in the chat. I feel like our most active chat participants wrapped up for the night, but let me know if you're still here, what you're working on, and if you've made any great progress. I am like 5 or 6 names away from finishing that boys list in my note section that I had set up in Plottr. I have the name, the origin, and the meaning. So as I'm like copying over names that I could potentially want to use, I have all that information going. And I think I've selected, I have like my top 2 names that I want to pick for my female protagonist. And I haven't really looked at the extensive list, but I've definitely come across some of the more recent ones that I've added. I want to say there's at least 2 or 3 here that I really like the sound of for my male protagonist. So I have to narrow that down a little bit. But I am planning on doing that right after the sprint ends, since I'm already so close to the end of the list. So I'm looking forward to that. I see that Green World also dipped out for the night. I hope you guys are sleeping well. And Misha is in South Africa, which is pretty awesome. So I'm glad that she stopped in. But with that being said, I don't really have anything else to like rant or complain about. So if everybody is quiet and peaceful and ready to get back to their normal day-to-day, then I'm going to let you guys do that. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Content creation has officially started back up on Bound by Words. My goal is to get videos out on Fridays, but hopefully this week we'll have 2 going. I'd like to have one up today or tomorrow if I can, but I'm definitely going to be posting like recorded videos just on writing topics and writing in general on Fridays. And then we're going to be doing these live streams on Monday. But yeah, I look forward to seeing you guys there. Have a great rest of your day.